Hello everyone, welcome to this video session on Bama's Karukku, the explanations of the chapter 4. This video is part of the discussion of the paper Compulsory Foundation Course in English for the stream 4th Semester English BCA BSc at Mangalore University. This video is the continuation of my earlier videos on Karukku, the autobiographical novel written by Bama. So welcome to today's discussion. In this part of the video, we are going to discuss how Bama recounts her childhood memories. The memories from the childhood are recalled as through the recollection or recounting of her childhood responsibilities, the perceptions she had in her childhood, and she also takes it for the discussion of the plight of Dalits and also the plight of Dalit children. This part of the chapter 4 focuses on these aspects. Let's go to the first part, that is Bama in the chapter 4 takes up the discussion of her childhood responsibilities. We can see here that Bama, unlike many children of today, was a very precarious child. She was a responsible child who used to handle so many household tasks that we can see in her childhood through the narration presented in the novel. See, there are examples here. She opens this part. In this part we can see, if there was no work, they will go off to collect stray onions left in the field and thorny twigs or firewood from the mountain jungle. See, you can see how as children, Bama and her peers were part of that agriculture activity. They were their parents used to do those work. Along with them, they contributed in their own way to support their parents and their family. So therefore, they used to go to, after the harvest season, there was stray onions here and there left out, right? So they would go to the field to collect them, and in the free time they also had to collect thorny twigs. Twigs, they were full of thorns, right? They needed those twigs for firewood purpose. Therefore, they used to go to the even mountain jungle. See, there are examples here, right? One instance is there here. You can see walking up early, pouring some coos into a carrier. You can see coos is a kind of porridge or gruel, what we say, ganji anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. Then collect 4 annas from her mother to give to the gardener or forester, lest he would allow them to collect any firewood. He wouldn't allow them to collect any firewood. You can see in a light sentence, she slightly hints at the corruption which was there in that part of village also. Because if they had bribed that forest officer, it was possible for them to collect the firewood. Even the little amount they had out of their earning toil, they had to spare some amount. You may think of these 4 annas as a very little money nowadays, but it wasn't so then. It was a very valuable one. That too for Bama's family, when they were able to earn only a few rupees in their work, we can see 4 annas were of big value. They had to spare that to the forester in order to get their firewood for cooking. Then they go to the jungle. It was not an easy way, right? It was a difficult way. They had to climb the steep mountain slopes one by one, pick up the scattered dried twigs here and there, and tie them into a bundle, and they had to carry them back, right? The twigs and thorns would scratch them. You can see here the twigs, the broken pieces, marada tundugalenittu, marada kattige tundugalu, they would torn something because it was thorny twigs. We were already given that it full of thorns also. ಮುಳ್ಳುಗಳಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. Thorns would scratch and tear their face. Sometimes it would tear their face, right? And hair, arms, legs, ella kade they get wounded, right, because of that thorn. Sometimes their skin would be all torn and bleeding. You can see, just imagine these things that the children had to face them. So in a situation where probably if we keep these things in a metropolitan city or a township, their children are devoid of these kind of things. They are not part of this at all. They can't even dream of this, that they are doing these things. Even today, you can see it is applicable to today, because the contrast you can see from the days of Bama, her childhood, with that of the children who do not do these things nowadays. You cannot, of course, send them. And even if you say, and I heard recently a child saying that if you give me a lot of work, that would be child labor, and it would become child abuse. So think of a child of about 14 to 18 year age, between the age of 14 to 18 year age, just for joke maybe, but you can see the awareness of the child that there is child labor. So you can also see here then how many people in India like Bama in their childhood suffered under that child labor. But it was not even a complaint one can make against this. It was inevitable to run their family and find their daily bread. Anyhow, you can see they cannot worry about all these pains and sufferings, right? All these bleeding, the wounds that they had to undergo, because if they mind that, they wouldn't get the firewood. That was the situation. See, harshness of that incident is narrated in page number 51 and 52. You can see in OUP page number 51. It starts from in page number 51, last line. You see, sometimes your hair would all entangle in the branches and nearly split your skull apart. You never knew which way to go forward, what roads or paths were there for you to take. We had to push and shove and crawl our way through bushes and briars. Right? You can see the way Bama recollects her childhood, that they had to. So I think this has a larger significance. I think it's a metaphor also to her life. You can see the path that she used to witness in the jungle is a kind of metaphor for her life also. It was a thorny, way. It had a lot of obstacles to cross. They had to somehow push themselves ahead. They have to come forward, and they have to crawl sometimes, and ultimately to reach that home or comfort zone. So that is Bama used to do then another, right? And again it continues in the next part again. Even when walk back home, lifting up the tiled bundle on their head, a tree or a creeper would block their way and pull them back. You look at the lines. I think you have each and every line has some significance here, because without the life experience one cannot explain all these things. She had that experience, therefore she can recollect all these things. The way when one is carrying the bundle, when they are walking in the forest, sometimes different, the creepers or sometimes some thorny bush, something would definitely tie, or it would hold you for a second. You have to come trickily out of that. These are the examples you can see in Bama's life also. Finally, just like the way they climb up the hill, they had to climb down the hill, creeping along gradually, rolling the firewood bundle forward. Very life, particular to her life experience, because without life experience you cannot say all these things. The way they had to roll the firewood bundle. I think here you can see it's autobiography, because it is pure account of her life experience. What she underwent or experienced in her childhood, it echoes here. As they reach the base of the hill, carry the bundle on the head, the load would feel heavy due to ebbing energy by walking far. She continues that very example. You can see when they carry the bundle for a long distance, naturally the energy in them get exhausted. And therefore, it is reflected in the way the bundle becoming heavy, because as the energy in the body comes down, the bundle they used to feel heavy, right? That is the thing. Then as they finally, you can see once her mother returned home. Yeah, we have one more incident. I think I told you already in the earlier videos also. Individual instances of the life are taken here for a broader discussion. You can see her mother's example. Her mother returned home from collecting firewood and began vomiting blood, toiling even without taking into account the body that was evident in their community. So one example of that evidence of ignoring their life and their body and toiling for somebody or toiling for their family or running their daily bread, running their life is example here. So of mother. She returned home, but she was vomiting blood because she walked all the way, maybe carrying a very heavy weighted bundle of firewood. At 10 or 12 year age, they go find some way of making money. So this is about the children, right? You can see the children at the age of 10 or 12, they find some way of making money. Where is there then their childhood? They miss that very important part of childhood, the spring of their lifetime, that is childhood, right? The happiest season of their lifetime, that is childhood. That's why you can see there is some inequality here, where one section can enjoy their childhood and they have all that provisions to enjoy, whereas the social situation of our country somewhere prohibits some section to not to enjoy that part of happy childhood. That is what Bama is trying to question here. Until that, girls are in charge of caring youngster siblings along with household chores. Boys graze the sheep and cattle. The way division of work between the boys and girls in their childhood. Until the age of 11 or 12, they were part of doing work within the home. Once 11 or 12 is attained, they go out of the home to do further work related to their family and to support in their own way to their family, somewhere to earn some pittance probably to support their livelihood. Anyhow, then we see one thing here again, perceptions from her childhood, the way she was able to perceive things. She was very sensitive child for that matter, sensible to her surroundings, very precarious also. So you can see in this case also, tumba sukshmateyanna, subtle aspects of the life or nuances of life are pursued effectively by child Bama. That is you're observing here. You can see during harvest, taking a wide winnowing tray and a stiff broom, they would collect the grain falling off the sheaves that were being carried to the threshing field. See, carrying a winnowing tray, ಮೊರ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ರೈಟ್, ಗೆರ್ಸೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇತ್ಯಾದಿಗಳು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸೆಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ರೈಟ್. ದ ಹಸ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಪ್ರೇಟೆಡ್, ಆರ್ ಈವನ್ ದ ಡರ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಗ್ರೈನ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಪ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ winnowing tray. She would carry that winnowing tray for what? They would, all the children, right, they would carry that and a broom in the hand, brooms, right, ಒಂದು ಪೊರಕೆ broom ಅನ್ನು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು they would collect the grain falling off the sheaves that were being carried to the threshing field. You can just imagine the situation when they were carrying it to the landlord's threshing field, some grain falls on the way, right? They were collecting that wherever possible. That is the situation, poverty which made them to do so. Winnowing the collected grain. Next step is to winnowing it, separating the dirt from the grain. That is the step. Then they take it home, and young children and old women did as the grown-ups are busy in work. These things are actually done by young children and women. You can see the involvement of everybody to run the family. So grown-ups used to work in the fields, right? They would bring that grain. They are busy doing their work in the harvest activities. And in that time, these children and grown-ups who cannot work or make hard labor, they do these kind of labor to collect these fallen grains and carry that for their food purpose. Carried the grain ultimately to the nadar shops. They would bring it to the nadar shop there in their street, and then they would weigh it and take it in exchange for some goods. It was like what we say barter system. They take the grain and they give in turn something back, right? So for example, here she mentions as a child also she had another perception. That's why perceptions of the childhood, because she knew that they were swindling. They were cheating them, deceiving them, swindled badly during the bartering sessions, right? So cheating them, maybe collecting more grain for a little thing that they used to give. That's what she mentions here. Everywhere, with every incident, she makes an attack on the injustice or inequality meted out to Dalits or her community in that village. The same happened during the cotton harvest. The tradesmen used to cheat them and collect the grain and cotton for themselves. So that is also in harvest season. So now, question she raises is, taking these examples, the way tradesmen cheating them, she raises a question in page number 53. You can see here that she says, so how was it possible for us to make any progress? Isn't it? When people continue to cheat like this, when continue to make them remain in poverty, so how was it possible for us to make progress? It seems that it is only the swindlers who manage to advance themselves. Isn't it? Those who cheat others, loot money, they are going to progress. That's the question she's asking, right? Then again, but there is no way at all for the Dalits who sticks to fair methods and who toils hard all her life and to make good. See the way those who stick to their hard labor and do things, they finally lose things. That is what she is trying to say. Those who cheat and use illegal means, they become rich, they make money. That is the question she is raising, and she is finding out a most important problem, and it's an important problem that she is identifying, that why Dalits remain poor, because they don't want to cheat. That is what she is trying to say here. Anyhow, then you can see until the 8th class she worked in the village. Whenever went to the Naikar's house, she should not touch their goods or chattels, should never come close to them, because it was believed that it was they were it would pollute them. If she touches, or her member from her caste touches that would pollute them. That is the practice of untouchability. She was able to perceive the practice of untouchability at that age itself. She had to stand away. They had to stand away from the Naikar people, one side along with the other women of her community as per their rules. That was the situation, and she felt pained and ashamed, and she recalls that painful memory of her past here, right? But she was helpless to question this, because it was the authority hegemony in the society, right, where one cannot question it, right? So therefore she cannot question it, the higher caste, because they were rich, and moreover they had all power, so that's why it wasn't possible to question them. However, furious and resentful she was, she had to feel that in her heart. Not just Bama, many of her community members, however they are exposed to injustice, there was no possibility of protesting it or opposing it, because the situation, the circle has made it so, right? The hazardous lifestyle then made it them so. So finally you can see she was sent to convent school for 9th class, did not have to work there as she had to study, because she left home and went to convent school. She couldn't work thereafter. When went home, she did all the chores to support her parents, and what was given to her, she used to perform that or another, right? Anyhow, you can see her entry into the convent may bring some sunshine. We may expect that, right? That she continues in the next part. After the 10th, finished her exams, went home, assisted her mother in bringing firewood from the Naikar state. We have another examples where Bama, even after 10th, she assisted her family, her mother particularly, to carry on the household chores of probably bringing firewood to home. She had to cross 2 streets and come past the oil press. There was oil press, oil mill, and bazaar. And some people saw her, asked her mother in surprise about Bama carrying a load of firewood on head, even after her schooling. That was the question, right? She has completed SSLC, right? Her matriculation. And why is she carrying these things? It was strange that an educated person doing those things then, right? That was a situation. People used to question that. ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟೇ ಎಟ್ ಹೋಮ್, ಡಿಯರ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್, ಡಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದೀಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ ಅವನು ಅಥವಾ ಅವಳು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವೇ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಜನರಿಂದ ಬರೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಶಿ ಫೇಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಹರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಶಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಲೇಬರ್. ದೆನ್ ದೋ ಶಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ನಾಟ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ನಾವ್ as years passed now, even as years of study cannot make her be so flexible as she used to be earlier. Anyhow, but she was able to be the active part of her family to do carry on, to do all those work annadunna ನೀವು observe ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. Then she wonders now how her people got strength to work so hard day. Yeah, that is not just Bama. We have to think here that they are hard labor that they used to do. So then how they were able to do that day, night, toil? They cannot advance themselves through the work. That is another thing. They work hard, but they cannot advance themselves through the work. Though they work, as they never received an appropriate payment for their labor. That's the question. Again, she finds it out, right? She goes on to explore different examples where Dalits are ill-treated. Dalits are made part of social injustice. Here again you see their work is extracted, Their labor is extracted, but they were not paid in the proper way. That made them to remain low in the social stratification of society, or the social condition of their lifestyle, their life. So again, why were men and women paid differently for the same work? This is the next important question that she is raising. A most important problem that exists in the many villages in India. That is distinct difference in the payment paid to men and women for their labor, right? So men are paid more and women are given less wages. That is what she is questioning again. Then she concludes at the end by taking all these, the plight of the Dalits. Even though they worked so hard and suffered bodily pain, our people laughed and were cheerful. You can see that is what life. They had difficulties, they had struggle, they had problems, still they were able to laugh. This is a lesson, dear students, you should follow in life. So whatever the problems we have, it shouldn't bar us from enjoying the moments of life. It shouldn't make us shun or frown always. It should give some way for laughter every day. We should laugh at that. Then only we can come out of that problem. Otherwise, we will be in the same swirling wind, or in the swirl of that, and we will not come out, but we will submerge or sink or drown in that. That's the situation. So you can see Dalits or her community people were born to work. They worked every day. They work hard every time. However they hard they toil, they work, the same kuj that they were able to eat, the broken grain gruel that they used to make by adding some water and boiling it, right? So, and also along with that they had dried fish curry, watery, because it was very tasty. It seems from this that they used to enjoy the same thing every day. Then she do not reflect on themselves, their state of affairs as no time. That is another thing. So they couldn't focus on, reflect on their lifestyle. What were the problems they had, right? Because they were busy all the time, dedicating themselves to work, working for somebody's farm or somebody's land. They never cared for their life. Then that's how she wondered how the upper caste survive without them, because these people are integral part of their life. Then how do they survive without them? That is the question she is even rising here. Wonder how the upper caste survive without them. Their arms and legs are still only when asleep. They work all the other times, have to working till their death. So this is the way she shows the hard work that they perform in their life. All the time they work. Only when they are in sleep, and except the final sleep, right? So till death they cannot, or they don't work. Their arms and legs are in rest. So that's why she concludes it is only in this way that they can even half fill their bellies. What a powerful line, ironical line. Even after doing that kind of hard labor and difficult work, they were able to have only half filled bellies, right? That is the ultimate thing. That's why she concludes it with the plight of the Dalit children also. Things getting worse nowadays. In old days, tiny tots would be holding on to sheep and cattle, look after babies as they tumbled about in streets. The children were just to work at their villages earlier, right? There may be cattle grazing or sheep grazing and all that. Now the poor children go to work like adults in some other places. They are also working like adults. Where is their childhood then? Their childhood is robbed. The childhood is stolen by the social condition, right? At dawn, the tiny crab-like children powering, crab-like, right? The image that she takes here, the simile that she uses, crab-like children, they powering coos into their carriers, climb in the van from the matchbox factories and go to work. They work at sticking on matchbox labels, and they make firecrackers and use chemicals. Return home exhausted at 7 in the evening. You all know that the firecrackers, Shivkasi is a famous place, probably the only place where crackers are produced in India, in Tamil Nadu. So the children used to go to that place, and they go to that place, used to, right? They go to that place and work there. That's the thing. At an age of playing about in the evenings, they are shut up inside. What a powerful line you can see here. Children had to play. They are to play at that age, right? They have to play at that age. That instead of giving them that happy part of their life, it is robbed, and they were sent to work for child labor. So, though there are schools now, these children's fate is the smell of the matchbox solution, not of learning or knowledge. So that's why she says, can they study when there is a struggle even to fill their bellies? This is another thing. So when they have difficulty finding their daily bread, can they study? Can they be happy? When there are a lot of problems, when they are in distress, will they get that mind of study and make progress out of it? That's why Bama critically questions all these inequalities present in the society, and probably raises that demand to provide some palliation or solution, right? So likewise, it concludes Bama's childhood was taken away by poverty, like most of the Dalit children in India. That you can see this part of the chapter. You also see here that she reveals her childhood perceptions, how Dalits are ill-treated in society. And this part also exposes the upper caste people like Naikars, ill-treatment of the Dalits in spite of their key role in society, because they cannot earn anything without the support of these Dalits who work hard in their farms and support their earning. So thus Bama concludes the chapter by showing how Dalits are integral part of society, and how they are part of hard labor in society. They do the hard labor in society. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.